What you say, you better think about it. What you do, you better think about it. Simple words, aren't they? But if you really start to contemplate them, it starts to have a very deep and profound meaning on our lives. My talk is going to be about wealth and well-being. And we've got an idea of wealth that is, I think, very, very, very distorted. I think our wealth has been brought up because society has taken us from the idea, living in America, that we're here to live the American dream. And the American dream says we have X car, X home, X spouse, X children. We do this, we do that, we do this, we do that, and we're going to be happy. And yet, what I'm finding with people is, as they accumulate, as they go up that ladder toward that American dream, nothing changes. In fact, as people accumulate more and more and more, and in America, we don't just buy it with cash. We buy it with debt, with this magic thing called credit. And so with credit, when we're buying these things and we're not getting that fulfilling pleasure after we've got it, what happens? The albatross of owing money to someone weighs on us, and we don't even realize that it is punishing us and putting us down, where we are no longer feeling any sense of freedom. You see, freedom is the ability to move in a direction without any limitations. And you see, here's the key. Why is feeling free so important? Because it is the very essential nature of who we are. You see, as an expression of infinite energy, as an expression of what we call the divine, as an expression of source, we're free. There's no limitation. You know, when you think about yourself, how many of you think you're your body? At times we all do. How many of you think you're your mind? We all do. But you realize we are not our body. We are not our mind. We are consciousness. We are an aspect of consciousness that is unique. So we're not our bodies in that, but we have a body. And we have a mind. The question is, who's in control? We've allowed ourselves to believe that our body or our mind is in control. One of the things that how we do that is we are magnificent manipulators of the intellect. We understand that through argument and through logic, we can shift and shape and move everything. We call that our brilliance. And I'm going to propose to you that that's the very prison that is binding you. Because your logical thought process is not free. Your logical thought process comes from your prior experiences, comes from your parents, comes from society. We have not even thought about what we've accepted into our lives that is controlling us. We are reacting and not responding. You see, that which responds is not the mind, it is not the body, it is that point of consciousness that is outside of ourselves that understands that there is something greater. And that's the response. I learned a great meditation while I was in Maui studying under this teacher from the East. And I want to share it with you because I think it's important that I share simplistic things that would allow you to become free. And it's really simple. For 30 days, for 1 month. Do you all know how to breathe? Do you know how to breathe? Do you know how to breathe? Right, you in and out. Right? You inhale, you exhale. Everyone got that? Or shall we go through a class? We're in and out, okay? On the inhale, I am not my body. On the exhale, I am not my mind. On the inhale, I'm not my body. On the exhale, I'm not my mind. For 10 minutes. 10 minutes is not that long. You get a timer. You can get a timer free on the internet, meditation timer. Set it for 10 minutes. You'll do it for 10 minutes. When you're done with the 10 minutes, at that point, I want you to say the sound, ah. Just, ah. Do that with me. Ah. Feel the change? I don't know if you know this, because I didn't know it. I just learned it. What 3 sounds can you make without using your tongue? Ah, oh, So it's really not what we've been led to believe, om. It is aum. And you see, that sound hits the body in a way where all 3 of those tones balance the body out, balance the mind out. That's another form of meditation that you can do. So when I'm talking about the idea of this meditation where you're breathing in and breathing out and you're going ah, I'm not saying to do om. There's a reason. That ah sound starts here. And it builds up, and so it's sending the vibration of all that you've spoken through all aspects of your body. And you're going to get it. So that at the end of a month, you reduce it from doing it twice a day for 10 minutes, you reduce it to once a day. And what starts to happen is you start to withdraw from the need to react. You see, when we are centered, that we believe we are our bodies and we believe we are our minds, we react. When we are the observer, when we're coming from outside of the body, that's where we respond. The interesting thing is, in America, we expect things to happen like this. We expect immediate gratification. We're always expecting that. And if we're changing consciousness, a consciousness, who's the youngest person here? Not you, Bob. None of you guys are. You're old farts right there. How old are you? 10. For 10 years, he's had his parents telling him who he is. He's had his grandparents telling him who he is. He's had the kids around him telling him who he is. He's had the schools telling him who he is. So has he consciously chosen thoughts about who he is? Probably not yet. He's not even aware of that. But he's probably been in a state of being in that because he's a kid. Kids, when they play, they don't have the boundaries. But as we get older and become mature, we don't even know how to play. We put rules on prayer, or on playing. We also put rules on prayer. But you see, infinite doesn't have rules. Why? Because it doesn't need them. Now that's an interesting topic, isn't it? Infinite is always about more life. Does that make sense? The infinite source, that which created all, is always about more life. So is it going to be thinking about murder? Is it going to be thinking about abuse? Is it going to think about dominating someone? Is it going to think that there's nothing, that I need to be filling something within me? Or is the infinite going to always be, I am enough? How can I express this in a new and more creative way? Here's the real key question to ask yourself. How can I express this in the unique way that only I can? Because we are all that. We are all individual points of consciousness within the infinite. No one is the same. No one is the same. So wealth is an external thing. Wealth is something that we think is going to bring us happiness, but it's an effect. Well-being is a state that we bring and create within ourselves based on what we value. Does that make sense? See, when we know what we value and we create from that unique set of values, we are going to live in bliss. And when we're living to those values, nothing seems like work. Nothing. It's like so many people came up to me, you're going to Maui on vacation? Why are you going to speak at another community? I said, you don't understand my values. Number 2 is talking. I love to talk. I love to teach. My number 1 value is I love to be in connection with all that is. My number 3 is I want to learn more about what I love. Number 4 is I want to build community. I love building community. I love bringing people together. I love for people to share and to see each other's light. And the last one is I love health. And when I say health, it's not just eating and that. I love to feel what my 5 senses allow me to feel. You see, we are in human bodies in this life, right? Why wouldn't we want to feel all of it? I mean, last night at the Who concert, I saw Peter Townsend smile for the first time. I've watched him over and over through the years from 1970, the first concert I went to with them. And then I saw him this one. He was smiling. But he was in his groove. He was in his energy. He was doing what he loved. Whatever issues the band had between Roger and Peter, because they have sort of a real in and out type of relationship, you didn't see it on stage. Why? Problems disappear. Disagreements disappear when you are doing what you love. If you're not doing what you love, then there's conflict. Then there's depression. Then there's anxiety. Then there's poverty. Then there's disease. You see, when we are doing what we love, are we not in a state of connected beingness? And that state of connected beingness, isn't it really called well-being? We are being well. We are coming from the well or the source of all that is. Ooh, think about that. We are coming from a beingness, from the source of all that is, which means what? We have no limitation. You see, we so many times, this is where I was talking about the intellect a little earlier and how it imprisons us. The intellect will say, you can't go from point A to point B, it's too big a gap. But the infinite created all that is. Do you think it knows that limitation? No. It does not know that limitation. But the human mind, the way the human mind has been conditioned, builds a limitation. So what is our job in the creative process? Our creative process says we've got to shift a belief, we've got to shift the belief to the new desire. And when we shift the belief to the new desire, when we've got the emotion, when we've got the belief, we've got the conviction, we've got our thoughts, our words, our actions align with that, we now start to experience it. But you see, the process of demonstrating is the creation of belief. We're creating what? Well-being. We're going into the well of infinite source. We're bringing out our power. We're knowing it. And in that, we're going to choose. Now I'm going to really get in your face. It's time to get in your face. We're blinded in this society by a bunch of hogwash. And I'm going to just nail it. I'm going to say it right up front. Last night, they said there was the biggest fight in 10 years. Why would anyone go to watch someone beat the crap out of someone else? Why would anyone go and watch a fight like that when we're supposed to be about love, when we're supposed to be about seeing God in another human being? And I'm using God right here. We're supposed to be seeing the divine in another human being. When you're taking a slug at someone, are you seeing God in that human being? Not at all. So I'm not condemning it. I'm not saying anything. But if you're going to say, I am for love, are all your words, are all your actions, are they in alignment with it? You see, in agape, there is no sin. There is absolutely no sin. You cannot do anything wrong. There's no one that's going to damn you or condemn you. There's nothing there. But I'm saying if you want to experience more love, don't you have to talk love? Don't you have to be love? Don't you have to act love? Do you hear what I'm saying? If you're not going to do it, then don't expect to have the experience in another part of your life. I'm just going to nail it. If you think you're going to have a loving relationship over here and you're watching people get the crap out of them, there's another side of you that's coming out and it's not going to show in a relationship. What's going to show in a relationship? Part of this is coming over here. Pretty quiet in the room, isn't it? I've even gone that way on football. I'm going to hit a lot of men with that. Because in football, yeah, it's a strategic game. But if you have a 300-pound man coming at you with all his might to get through you, it's pretty violent. And my son and I disagree with this because I don't believe that you can take and have that type of physical force on the football field and it not show up here in the domestic world? I don't believe that you can separate them in human form. I think if someone was purely conscious, that would be the case. But I want you to know, I've met a few football players in my life. I don't find very conscious people there. I don't find people who are aware, awake, who are expressing the light. I find people who have been brought up by society, by their parents, that football is their way. They've got a gift. No doubt about it. They've got a gift. But I'm just sort of asking you. I'm not saying what's right or wrong. I'm asking you to ask your own questions. I'm asking you to say, if I am this, is my actions and are my alignment and my focus over here in alignment with it? Because if it's not, then nothing in your life is going to change. You see, what we understand is the power to change is only within us. It is not in anything else. And until we accept 100% responsibility for our actions, thoughts, words, and deeds, and all of that, nothing changes. You see, that's the power of coming into this idea that we hear about grace. Grace is when we settle in to the idea that there's an infinite creative process right where we are, and it will respond to the nature of our thought based on the belief, which is our feelings and convictions and thoughts, words, and actions all aligned. If we believe that, why would we do anything that is not for our well-being? The reason is we don't believe it. Can I say it? We don't believe it. Otherwise, we would act differently. We would speak differently. So when people come up to me and they start saying this, I'm saying, you know, you have your opinions, and what are they using to justify it? The intellect. Remember that intellect that causes us problems? It's the intellect there. What does the heart say? That's the question. See, the heart never lies. The body never lies. That's why applied kinesiology, I'm finding it so brilliant. Because when you muscle test yourself, your body will tell you what your body believes, and it doesn't lie. It's not fooled by all the words and all the nonsense out there. Well-being. Would you rather be wealthy, or would you rather have well-being? You see, Maslow proved this. When your basic needs are met, when you have a roof over your head, when you have food, when you have health, and you feel safe, anything more than that, we start to fool ourselves with. They say that the average, what a person needs to make is about $70,000 a year. After $70,000, there's no further benefit in what the toys you can have. The toys just keep going into the toy chest. They keep going to the toy chest, and toy chest. And then what happens? Well, the next thing you know, we're still not happy, so what do we take? Antidepressant drugs. We've got an epidemic in this country on people on antidepressant drugs. Why? Because they're focused on the outside bringing them their joy. It is not the outside that brings joy. Joy comes from within. Inner peace comes from within. Inner peace comes from knowing what our well-being is, that there is a source that is everywhere present, and that source is readily available to me, to you, to everyone at any time. And all we have to do is take the time to draw it in, to connect with that at all times. So here's what I'm going to tell you. When people start telling you they're spiritual, don't believe them. When people tell you they know what it means to be spiritual, don't believe them. Watch. Are they expressing love? Are they accepting? Are they in non-judgment? Are they peaceful? Are they present? Did you hear that? Being present. The only way we can be present in the world is to accept where we are. You either see or accept where someone else is, because until we accept where we are in that moment, we're judging ourselves from the past, or we're judging ourselves because of the future that we're presenting out there. But when we're in the present, I can be saying, okay, I am present, and know that my dream is to have this center with 600 people at a service. I'm present because I'm present. I'm not waiting for that to happen because I'm present knowing I'm thinking it here. I'm fully present that with this community right now, I am fully engaged. that nothing else matters than what I'm feeling in this moment. I'm not seeking my joy in the future. I'm not going past to bring forward. I am in this moment. I think the best thing you can find that in is watch a musician. When Steve gets up, or Alex or David, they're up there and they're playing, or they're doing this or doing that. They're present in that moment. They may have been up till 3, 4 in the morning, but when they're jamming, they're doing that value that they love, that doesn't matter. Their music just sings. The question I ask is, how do you play music? How do you choose to live your life? How do you choose to express? And then once you've chosen that, how do you do it from knowing your well-being? See, I make a lot of mistakes. Do you know why? Because I can be a better teacher. I'm human. I'm not conscious all the time. I'm not 100% aware. In our humanness, we never will be. That's my perception. That's my belief. I don't think we ever get 100% because in order to be human, we must have contrast. Without contrast, this life would be so boring. Why would we be in this body at this time without contrast? But when the contrast comes, don't react, choose. And what I'm going to ask you to do is really become clear as to what is your highest way of expressing your unique ability to love. And remember, your unique way is different than anyone else's. There's no mold that you have to fit in. There's no right spiritual practice. You find your own spiritual practice. And all we say, when we say a spiritual practice or a practice of consciousness, I like that even better. A practice of consciousness means what helps you center into knowing your well-being. Whatever you can do. It may be a jog. When I ran, I loved to run because when I was running, I would have conversations with Infinite. At that time, I would say, hey, buddy, you, God, what's going on? And I'd be talking out loud, and I'd be giving him my answers. My questions, I'd be going. And I remember one day at Unity Village in 1998, I was at a retreat with Gene, and I was asking God this question at 5:30 in the morning as I was jogging the cart path on the golf course in the back of the place, and all of a sudden this voice started talking to me. And I got all my answers. Now, it wasn't God out here. There was no being out here. It was God in Lee. I opened the door saying, I want it so bad, I'm ready to listen. And see, that's what's got to happen. We've got to want what we want so bad that we will stop and we will listen to what's what's thriving to come out, what's desiring to come out. Ooh, desire. I love desire. Talk's going another direction. The Buddhists say desire is the source of all evil. It's the source of all suffering. Wait a second. In order to not desire, don't you have to desire to not desire? Isn't desire the essential part of the creative process? It is. Without desiring, we cannot have a creative process. It's our natural thing, but you got to remember one thing. Desire will be, once we fulfill one desire, a new one comes. That's the eternal creative process. There's always going to be a new desire. Now the question is the desire in alignment with what you want? Is it in alignment with your values? Is it a conscious choice or is it an unconscious choice? I drive a Honda CRZ. I love it. I would love to have a Lexus. But it's not going to make me better self-love. It's not going to make me experience the world any better than I am now. That's why I haven't chosen to buy the Lexus. See, I looked at where my values are, and I align my dollars and where I spend my energy and time on that. I will be no happier having that vehicle, so if that's the case, why have it? Does that make sense? So I'm not buying into what society says that you got to have, that if you have this, you're more upscale. I don't care. Who do I need to please? Do I need to care what society sees me as? Hell no. The only person I care about how they see me as is me. Because if I'm being the highest Lee, why would I care about anything else? I'm now out of a state of judging Lee. I'm in a state of accepting Lee. Ooh, I like acceptingly. A new word. I want you to all learn that word. You just accept Lee as he is. Stop judging me out there. Wealth or well-being. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having a lot of wealth. But I say wealth comes when you're doing what you love and you're being of service to others. The gift of energy will come back in the form of various forms of wealth. See, you don't have to ask for money. You just be the greatest you can be. No matter what your job is, if you're giving great service to whatever you're doing, remuneration must come. The more you give, the more you're bringing to help others fulfill their desires, the more it must come back. Does that make sense? So it's not about, I'm going to do this job, I'm going to do this job, I'm going to force myself to do this. No, do the job from the idea I'm being of service. And if it's not the service you want to do, until you find that service, give fully into what you're doing now. Become the person who understands that service is the way of being, that I'm giving my all to assist others. And then when you're doing that, start getting clearer and clearer and clearer on what you desire to be and how you desire to express, and then it will show. And it'll be easy, it'll be smooth, it'll be effortless transition. It just happens that way. Well-being is easy. Well-being just takes focus. It takes commitment. It takes 100% responsibility. I'm stepping into that more than I ever have after last week. When I was on vacation, I did more spiritual work. I probably did 8 to 9 to 10 hours a day of spiritual work. Because what I realized, it's what I love. So why not do that in Maui? I met incredible people. I met shamans. I met healers. I met incredible people. I didn't plan to meet them. I was just being me, doing spiritual work, and people say, go see this person, go see this person. And from each of these people, wisdom, ideas, questions, they all came, and clarity just lifted. See, when we're coming from our authentic self, we get clearer. When we get clearer, the path lights up. The yellow brick road. That's the gold road. The road that you desire to create, that's on the path of what you value, that brings you great joy, that allows you to be of service. That is the yellow brick road you're following. The question is, are you going to take that road? Are you going to take the one that's most traveled? Are you going to take the road traveled by all of society out there? Are you going to follow the masses out there? Or are you going to say, for the first time in your life, I am tired of being average. I'm going to be unique. More importantly, I'm going to be me, and I am enough. Let's pray. I want to thank you for joining us today. I am so grateful that you took your time to watch or listen to this message. If you found this message beneficial, I would ask you to go to our website. Once there, click on the Contribute button and experience the joy of conscious and purposeful giving. It is through your gifts that we are able to bring this message to the world. I would also ask you to please share this message with anyone you feel might benefit. Again, I want to thank you for joining me and the Agape community as together we bring joy to life.